Have you ever been in a group of people, everyone talking, laughing, having an actual conversation, and you're just there? Not ignored, not left out exactly, just quiet, nodding at the right times, laughing when everyone else laughs, but never actually saying anything that adds to it. That was basically my entire personality for a long time. Not shy in the dramatic sense. I'd show up, I'd be around people. I wasn't hiding in my room, avoiding everyone, but the second I was actually in a conversation, something in me would just go quiet. Like I was watching it happen instead of being part of it. I used to think the problem was that I didn't have anything interesting to say. Like other people just had more going on, more stories, more opinions, more things worth bringing up, and I was just kind of empty in comparison. So I'd sit there waiting for something good enough to say before I said anything at all. And obviously that moment never really came because you can't plan your way into a conversation. By the time I thought of something, the moment had already passed, and saying it now would just feel random and forced. So I just not say it over and over. For years, honestly, the shift wasn't one conversation or one moment. I wish I could tell you there was a specific day where it clicked, but it really wasn't like that. It was more like slowly, without really noticing. I started getting curious about people instead of worried about myself. I think what happened is I just got tired of being in my own head during conversations, like constantly thinking about what I should say, how I sounded, whether what I said was good enough, and at some point that got exhausting enough that I just stopped doing it as much. Not on purpose. I think I was just tired. And in that tiredness, there was suddenly a bit of space. And in that space, I started actually paying attention to the person in front of me instead of to myself. It's a weird thing to explain, but once I actually started listening, like really listening, not just waiting for my turn, I noticed something. People say things that have more underneath them than what they're actually saying. Someone mentions they went somewhere over the weekend, and there's a whole story behind that if you just ask one more thing about it. Someone mentions a hobby in passing, and if you actually ask about it instead of just nodding, their whole face changes. And I think that's the part that slowly started shifting things for me. I didn't need to have something interesting to say. I just needed to be interested. Those are completely different things. And for years, I think I had them mixed up. It happened so gradually that I can't even point to when it became normal. But at some point, I noticed I wasn't dreading group conversations the way I used to. I wasn't sitting there waiting for my moment to say something impressive. I was just asking things, following up on things, noticing things about the people around me that I'd never noticed before, because I'd always been too in my own head to actually look. I still have moments where I go quiet. I still sometimes catch myself overthinking before I say something. This isn't some finished transformation where I'm suddenly the person who lights up every room. I don't think that's really me, and I'm not trying to become that. But the quiet version of me that used to sit there feeling like a background character in every conversation, that version is mostly gone. Not because I forced myself to talk more, but because I stopped making conversations about whether I was doing well in them. If you're someone who's been quiet in groups for a long time, I don't think the answer is to suddenly become talkative or charismatic or any of that. At least that's not what happened for me. I think it's smaller than that. It's just slowly turning the attention outward instead of inward. Getting curious about the person in front of you instead of worrying about how you're coming across. It doesn't fix everything overnight. For me, it took a long time. And honestly, I'm still kind of in the middle of it. But it's the first thing that's actually made conversations feel less like something I have to get through and more like something that just happens. There is one more thing that took me the longest to figure out, and that is letting people see me back. Curiosity about other people is one thing, but for a long time I was hiding behind it. Asking questions, listening, keeping the conversation on the other person, and telling myself that was just being a good listener. But if I am honest, part of it was fear. If I shared something real about myself and it landed badly, That felt worse than saying nothing at all. So I kept the conversation pointed outward and kept myself out of it. The problem is people cannot connect with you if they cannot see you. You can be the most attentive person in the room and still leave every conversation as a stranger because you never gave anyone anything real to hold on to. I started noticing that people would enjoy talking to me, but nothing ever went further than that one conversation. And eventually I figured out it was not because they were not interested. It was because I never actually let them in.